go. That's the intro music, right? I memorized it.
So,
Oh shit, are we recording?
hey, look, ladies and gentlemen, somebody else has mentioned what I usually mention because John always catches me off guard. So, we have a little bit of surprise for you today with this episode. So, John's out. He's taking a little bit of a break, vacationing, mazel toving. When he comes back, he can tell you all about it. But we're still chugging along here at the podcast, and we're bringing back someone you may remember from a very special episode a little bit ago. Have you met Brandon?
Hi guys, it's your boy Brandon, aka the Kingdom Hearts nerd, aka the man who defended our lovely game with his honor.
So we've been wanting to do an episode for a while now that kind of brings in Brandon's expertise, especially because he works with us, and as you know, our like what we do is actually pretty creative, so it's kind of nice that we get to talk about it on the podcast. But before I can dive into that, as you are all aware, my love for JRPGs knows no bounds. If I ever have children, they're born with a damn PlayStation controller in their hand. And, ladies and gentlemen, we got a fire bit of news that I text Brandon about. I was like, have you seen this? And it was the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer and screenshot reveal.
Oh yeah, that was God. Like I knew it was gonna happen, especially with like the 20th anniversary being this year and like the announcements were coming out and everything else. But like I was not expecting the drop for Kingdom Hearts 4 to just be there like right away. Like, oh yeah, this is it. This is what we're going with. And the announcement of like the mobile game and like all that and like the finale to Dark Road and everything else. That's all well, great and good, but oh man, Kingdom Hearts 4. Oh my god. That was quick. That was a quick turnaround for Square, I will say. 3 years? Ever since Kingdom Hearts? Yeah, so 3 years.
It's been about, no, because 2018. So
yeah, 4 years.
I think, so everybody knows Kingdom Hearts 3 is the polarizing game for the franchise, regardless of your PSP games, DS, 3DS, GBA games, PS2 games. Kingdom Hearts 3 was very divisive because even though it was so long in the making, the fan base was split one way or the other. It's they either really liked it or they really hated it. There was no real middle ground of, hey, this was an alright game.
Yeah.
And I think, like, this is just my opinion, mind you guys, and I'm the JRPG guy, so take this for a damn fact. God.
Wow, you went from, oh yeah, this is my opinion, like, take it as you will, to, no, you have to listen to me.
Well, your eardrums will be bleeding with that.
My bad.
ASMR, here we come. No, I think Square Enix realized that Kingdom Hearts 3, it still was a success. I mean, sales-wise, they hit some good numbers. It was received by enough people to warrant number 4 coming out. But I think 4 is going to correct quite a few of the potential issues people may have had with it in regards with, like, hey, I didn't like the story. It feels like you're deviating a little too much from what you had. And I mean, let's be real about deviation. Sora doesn't have clown feet in that trailer. I don't know. I know Brandon nitpicked that trailer. He's probably like, I'm watching here, I'm watching here, I'm watching here, I'm watching here.
Oh, yeah. I already have my theories. Like, I already have, like, a few things I have running in my head. Like, the whole tonal and, like, aesthetic, like, difference, I actually kind of love it. It kind of plays off of, like, the Final Fantasy Versus 13 kind of aesthetic and vibe. And, it's different. But I'm really glad that, this new arc, the Lost Master arc, super excited for what it has in store. Does it imply Sora's the Lost Master, or does it imply like the old Union X Keyblade Masters? What does that imply? What does that mean? I want to know more, damn it. And why did Sora change his shoes? Oh god, it's insane. It's gonna be a wild ride for sure. I think Square has like already taken the steps in like trying to mend those holes, those plot holes when it came to 3 and everything else, and everything within the Xehanort saga and all that. But yeah, especially with Remind DLC and Melody and Memory, both of those like sort of games were the first stepping stones into this new arc. So I really appreciate how Square is like caring for the franchise and caring for the fan base by being like, hey, just stick around, please. I promise we haven't forgotten about you.
There will be a payoff for all of this edging we had to force you through.
Yeah.
And my ultimate hope is that they don't DLC screw us.
Right.
Like 3, for however you feel about it, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't bad, but then they had to give you DLC to kind of finish what they were doing. And me personally, that's not okay. Like, give me a damn complete game. DLC for an extra arc that is not the main story. Cool. I'm all about that. But they had to DLC us in order to finish the game. So my hope is they learn from that as well. We get a reblending of Disney and Square and not that separation that's been happening. So I'm excited. Like, I am super, super excited. And I mean, that was a bombshell. And I kid you not, guys, when I text Brandon that, he's like, I've watched this trailer 5 times.
I've been having it on repeat over and over and over again. I can't stop watching it.
I imagine when you saw it, you were just like,
oh yeah, pretty much.
Work go out window.
Oh yeah. Well, like, yeah, that's pretty much what happened, because I had like a calendar reminder for the 20th anniversary event, and like I set my sights on like trying to catch the live stream if I could, or like at least like waiting until like other YouTubers were like popping up with other like trailers and all that happened from the event. So yeah, like I watched that compilation that was released, and then sure goddamn enough, Kingdom Hearts 4. Wow.
My text got through. So honestly, ladies and gentlemen, like, that's the biggest piece of gaming news we have for you. Aside from that, play all your games. This year has hit us with so many damn releases. I am behind. I don't know if you're behind, Brandon. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But kind of ties into our topic where we might be able to take away from the stress of a lot. So don't touch that dial. When we come back, we're going to take a deep dive into narrative-based games and what makes for a good story in video games. So we'll be right back. Do 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 do. Welcome back, everyone. So, as I mentioned, it's kind of something we haven't really touched base on, and for me as the JRPG guy, I'm like fucking fired over here because stories, it's JRPG, bread and butter, and it's something that we honestly wanted Brandon to be a part of because the Kingdom Hearts franchise itself is one beautifully composed narrative. Now, yes, it could be convoluted, like there's tons of games, tons of little side stories, but it weaves together harmoniously. So Brandon and I have actually been working on a pretty cool little list for you of games that we both feel kind of drive the narrative and grab you by the hand and take you along for the story. So with that, what do you think? I think we dive right in.
I think so too. Like, I know for me, the top like 3 or 4 things that to me really drive home a good video game narrative are, gameplay and environmental storytelling. The acting, obviously, because without, acting, you won't really care, right? The acting is what gives it the heart, while the writing is what gives it the skeleton, right? So, to me, when it comes to a really good narrative within a video game, I think those three, at least for me, that's what I took into consideration when I came up with my two recommendations.
So, well,
And the mutual third.
So it's going to be our top 5. So, and we wanted to do this in a way of kind of stopping power for what a story is, because as you know, we have a variety of mediums in the entertainment industry when it comes to storytelling. How you tell it in a movie, how you tell it in a TV story, an animated series, and video games are also in that entertainment medium. And I think what kind of gets left off with quite a few video games is, with a video game, if you look at it, it's a very linear format with what you do, your intro, your tutorial, and a blah, da, blah, da, blah. And it's always point to point to point. And we get that. As gamers, we understand that. But these 5 we're about to mention, they took that and they evolved it. And they actually have woven a beautiful universe. So, number 5 on this pretty awesome list, so I was literally biting my nails, so to speak, because we had the number 5 ready, and we're talking over breakfast, and I'm like, this might honestly make it, because we obviously have to pre-plan a little bit. We can't go in too blind here. I can't expose Brandon to all the chaos that is Games with John and James.
Yeah, I need to warm up. I definitely need to warm up and a cup of coffee for sure, or 2, or 3.
Or in this case, dealing with me, 22. His heart is just filled with caffeine right now. It's like,
yeah. I just always have an IV bag just connected to me, and it's just filled with black coffee.
So you're like Sonic from the movie where he's just walking around moving the missiles.
Oh yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much my point of view all the damn time.
So honestly, number 5, I'm going to keep it with the original one. So I was going to mention Golden Sun and Golden Sun: The Lost Age. The Game Boy Advance games, they did not make the cut. However, play them. Great story. Wonderful games if you have a Game Boy Advance. They're kind of expensive, so emulate away if you need to. If you are a physical collector like myself, get them, play it. You will not be disappointed. It is a grand sense of adventure. But number 5 on this list is the Dot Hack series. All 7 games.
I'm not familiar with Dot Hack. How would you explain it to somebody?
So, Dot Hack takes the premise of game within a game, because you log into the world. You actually, when you log out of the world, you get to check emails, correspond with people from real life.
Oh.
And it did the world within the world premise really, really well. So when it was created, that was kind of like the big hype. So Star Ocean Till the End of Time, the big twist in that is, I'm just someone in the world, because in that game you find your way out to the creators essentially of the world, and you have to deal with this existential crisis of, I'm just a character in your game, fuck you, God, I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
And it was really, really explored at that time. And then the Dot Hat series came along, and it starts off as kind of this adventure. So within the world, you have people that are succumbing to some type of illness, and you don't know what's going on. And your main character, Kite, he kind of gets drug into it because he gets an extra power where he can quarantine and essentially eliminate something, but at the cost to himself. So you have this story. So if you look at it, it's kind of similar to what I mentioned with Golden Sun. It's a game that is broken up. It could be one mega long game with 4 discs, but they chose to break the story up into 4 separate titles. And it's just this ongoing adventure at the same time. You still have this looming presence of, I need to figure this out. I need to solve what's going on. What's really behind this? And then when you hit game 4, you've built up so much, and your stuff carries over from one game to another. And in my opinion, when you're doing that in video games, let the shit continue. Looking at you, Kingdom Hearts, let my stuff continue. I want to have a level 980 Sora.
Well, like, okay, I have my thoughts about that, but I'm gonna wait till later. Because
So,
once I get on that Kingdom Hearts train, there's no coming off for me.
chugga chugga train.
Yeah, there's no going off.
The KH train.
Yeah.
So the it ends, and after the fourth game, it ends in a really good way. People are okay. You find out what's going on. You kind of accept it all into yourself, which is really cool. And then the second series, the Dot Hack GU series, literally the opening scene is with the main character Haseo. So he's kind of jilted against other players in the world because PKing happens, player killing. So he becomes this PKer, the player killer of the player killer.
So a Dexter, like a anime Dexter is what I'm hearing. Like
essentially.
cyber nerd Dexter.
Essentially. So he makes it his mission to let other players enjoy the game.
Right.
And the opening scene opens up with him fighting this mysterious character. But the mysterious character is Kite.
Oh.
From the first one. And it takes you on a continuing journey because he's trying to figure out what happened to one of his friends that was in his guild.
Mm-hmm.
Kite data drains him, which effectively reduces him down to level 1 because he's like level 200 and something. Totally reduces him. And he has to go and he's like, I'm Haseo. I'm this, but the people you initially meet, they're like, "Oh, you're Haseo. That's cute."
Right.
They don't believe him because I mean, super intimidating, fearful, like level 250 dude now to level 1.
Right.
So it's this really cool adventure, and you end up also acquiring that power. So you're trying to figure out what's going on with data drain. At the same time, you're trying to figure out what happened to your friend. And then when it concludes, so this story, it's just building after arc, after arc, after arc. And it doesn't leave you hanging. And what I appreciate about it is that it continues where it left off. Whereas in some games, when there's a number 1 or a number 2, it doesn't fully continue, or there's too many holes, where the story just, it feels barren. And you don't feel that with Dot Hack. So to experience the original ones, you do have to either emulate or get them on PlayStation 2. The original quadrilogy, it will hurt your wallet because Dot Hack Quarantine is a $350 to $400 game for one disc.
Oof.
So you'll spend about $600 just getting the 4. So if that's not your cup of tea, emulate it. My challenge to you, Brandon, because you like a good story, emulate it.
Okay.
And tell me what you think. But Dot Hack GU you can pick up because they it's like a pseudo port remaster that they did on the PlayStation 4 and coming to Switch called Dot Hack. It's Dot Hack GU Recode.
Okay.
And there's a 4th chapter to kind of fully tie everything off because a lot of people were still left with wanting more.
Right.
And I think that's the crux of this conversation. Like a good story leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, I would argue that, or at least it has some sort of impact on you. Yes, of course, like as a consumer, you want more of that IP, or you want more of that universe that you've loved so much because the narrative is what makes you care. To me, at least, it's about what drives you as the player to continue on this story. What makes you want to continue on playing this game, right? And has the gameplay also, in effect, help that? So I would argue yes and no.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So you'll find out we devil's advocate each other pretty fucking hard, and it is great. So you'll hear some tantalizing arguments.
Ooh, tantalizing.
I'll tantalize you.
It's a little risque.
Hey, I'll show you risque.
Oh, okay.
So I could talk a whole episode about Dot Hack, and I got to turn the floor over to my man Brandon here because his number 4 entry, he kind of went back and forth like I did, but his was a little more planned versus this morning.
Yeah, so like as I was, thinking about it when James initially came to me, I was like, hey, like I think we should do another episode together. I was like, yeah, sure. Like what do you want to do? He's like, oh, let's do like best narratives in video games. I was like, oh, okay. This is gonna be difficult because to me, when I play a game, I am always in search of a good story. Like I love playing games. I love playing games just for the sake of playing games, but at the same time, if the story and narrative within the game doesn't make me care enough for the characters and for the world, then why should I continue playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, when my friend first introduced me to this game, I was like, oh, what is this, like, sort of some, like, indie, like, cutesy sprite game with, like, you know, it's cute, the music is pleasant and everything else, but the impact it's had on me, like, personally, like, as a person, and just as, like, a person who enjoys storytelling and writing, it hit me hard. The game I'm talking about is none other than Undertale. Now, I understand before people were like, "Oh, Megalovania, haha, Sans, funny."
I have to pull a John here. Explain yourself.
Yeah. Well, okay, so when you think about it, right? Undertale's very bare bones, in essence, right? It plays very much on the Earthbound series and Mother 3, all that good stuff. But I think that plays into its benefit by telling this story. The story in itself is relatively simple as well. You got a human who accidentally fell into the monster world just trying to go back home, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the gameplay is what makes the story. And that whole system of having that choice. Because usually as us gamers, we see a monster, right? We just want to kill it. We want to get those XP points. We want to level up. We want to, get as strong as we can be in an RPG in order to, continue on with the story, right? What I loved about Undertale is that it flipped that narrative. It flipped that whole thing right upside its head. And if you haven't played it before, are you
giving it the
I'm giving the
play it.
The play it, baby. That's right. I would absolutely play this game. Play it.
So I have a little experience with Undertale. So as you know, Brandon, like my soul was fucking gone to World of Warcraft. Right. I was literally the South Park episode. Live to win, South Park.
Yeah.
But Undertale itself, like, you can play it on any platform, basically, from PC to consoles and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to compose my thoughts here. So
right, it's so hard to talk about this game. Like, it's so easy, and yet it's so hard to articulate how you feel when you play this game. Like, you just have to experience it for yourself, and that's another thing too. Like, I feel like a game should give you an experience, because with a movie, right? As much as I love movies and everything, it doesn't really put you in the driver's seat. You're more of an observer. You're an outsider into this story, but in a video game, you're in it. Like, you're in the driver's seat. You're the one who's, driving this story in an essence.
I think the best way I can equate it is we look at games nowadays. So my wheelhouse, your Final Fantasy VII Remake, Kingdom Hearts 3, for other people, the God of War series, you name it. Spectacle, pomp, circumstance. It's pushing technology to their limits that we have. And honestly, I love that. That's cool. But if you strip it all away, what do you have? And Undertale is a product of that. They could have made Undertale in the vein of any major game that was out when it released, but they decided, bare bones, anybody's going to get to enjoy this. And they gave you a complete package, bare bones. Because, let's be real, if you bare bones Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you have no experience with Final Fantasy VII whatsoever, you're lost.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing? If you bare bones Kingdom Hearts and you reduce it to its basis level, you're lost.
Yeah.
And Undertale, you're not lost. And it literally helps you along the way. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the few games, so a Johnism gives you player agency.
Oh, God, yes.
You get to choose. You literally are choosing who lives and who dies whenever you're encountering monsters. And then also Sans is he's such a good villain. And he's not really a villain.
He's more of an antagonist. He's just like a force of nature, I would say. Like, in a writing term, he would be, I don't want to say antagonist, because he's not an opposite to Frisk.
But you have to look at him as the villain.
He's a judge. I would say like the judge. He's the judge, jury, and possible executioner.
Especially if you put that cheat code in.
Exactly.
If you want to if you're a completionist, at one point so spoilers, by the way. Haha.
Yeah, sorry, y'all.
We kind of added it halfway through our spoilers. Well,
yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, I started talking about, like, that's another reason why it's so hard to talk about this game, is because if you don't want to spoil people, you kind of have to, like, limit it in a sense. Like, no, I promise you, it's good. You just gotta play it. Like, it may sound, like, really easy and really simple, but I promise you, it's so good, and yeah.
So, we'll caveat this for future entries, because there are 3 more entries.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get some spoilers. Sorry, not sorry. I hope you've played it. I apologize. You can mute us if you want. But at one point, you have to enter a cheat code to get the true completionist. And Sans warns you, do you really want to do this? Are you sure? All right. And then you got to fight Sans.
I wouldn't say... I don't think it's a cheat code. It's just Genocide Run. That's what Genocide Run is.
So, you entertain the masses. I'm going to pull this up for you.
Okay, so...
Haha.
Like, I would say as I said before, like, Undertale really flipped that narrative when it came to RPGs and storytelling and, like, really putting you in the shoes of the other side, so to say. Like, the quote-unquote other side. Like, the monster's point of view. Like, imagine you're just a monster, like, living your life underground, and you're chilling, you're vibing, all that good stuff. And all of a sudden, you see this human child that's, alone in your world, and you're like, oh, shit, like, I should probably go, like, talk to them or help them out. Like, some of the monsters are just passive. Like, they don't want to fight you. Or they're scared of you. Like, scared of the unknown. And the human, Frisk, represents that in a case. But having to flip that narrative where XP, like I said, Sans is the judge, jury, and possible executioner. If you go on a regular run, like you play Undertale like any other RPG, you beat the bosses, you fight all the monsters that come in your way, and as you level up and as you gain more experience, when you go meet Sans at that final temple hall, he explains to you what that all really means. That your level is your level of aggression. XP is execution points. Like, to me, thankfully, I had somebody who played the game before, like, in my passenger seat, so to say, to kind of gently guide me through. Because at first, I wanted to play Undertale like any other RPG, like Link to the Past, or like Final Fantasy, like turn-based, like, yeah, I'm going to fight the monsters. Like, oh, cool, like, all these little mini-games, like, these are fun. I'm going to kill all the monsters, get XP, all that. Like, I'm going to be a freaking strong boy by the end of this.
And then Undertale turned it on its head. And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. So it's actually the Konami code. And after that, you type in get good with a 1 for the I. Sans will actually stop fighting you, and you can continue genociding. Because Sans is there to kind of stop you from the genocide. Yeah. So...
Oh, I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that.
You're going to go try it, aren't you, just to see?
Probably. I probably will. It's been a while since I played Undertale, though.
Yes! We had a moment.
Yeah. Well, like, I played all 3 runs. Like, the first run I did, actually, was Pacifist. Because, again, I had a friend who played it, and she was kind of, like, guiding me through everything. And, at first, like, when I went to the Toriel boss and, like, going through everything, my friend was like, listen, you don't want to fight. Do not fight any of the monsters. I was like, why? She was like, you'll just trust me on this. Do not fight any of the monsters. Talk your way. Use the speak function. There's a reason why it's there. And that's again why I feel gameplay and narrative should play with each other.
You have to have player agency.
Yeah.
And Undertale does it in a way where your agency as a player, you have choices.
Yeah.
Your choices have consequences. So you can argue that, oh, it's the same as multiple endings here, there, whatever. Yes, but the no comes from your agency will directly affect the entire universe around you.
Mhm.
Your agency in other games just affects what ending you see. This affects your total play of game.
Yeah.
And for Undertale to do that bare bones gets a certified chef's kiss.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing that, but I'm doing that. Deal with it. I just kissed all of you through a microphone.
Well, and then like also to imagine like this was made by like I think like two people. It was made by Toby Fox, and it was also helped out with the music by God, I forget her name, and I'm so sorry for this, but for them to have that small of a team and be able to, you know, make this game and tell this story, I think is absolutely beautiful. And my God, the music, oh my God, I could listen to Falling Down or Fallen Down all the dang time. I will have that on repeat. It's just so good. It's so good, man. So relaxing.
So it was Toby Fox
Mm-hmm.
and freelance artist Temmie Chang.
Temmie, yes, because, yep, Tem.
So honestly, that's one you guys definitely need to play. And Brandon, like me, hey, look at that. Play it in the middle of my diatribe. I love it. Makes me so happy. Because it is a JRPG, all things considered.
It is not a JRPG. It is an American-made RPG. You can't call it a JRPG.
You can't see this, but I'm smiling evilly.
You can't call it it's not a JRPG.
So we'll move on to our third
You can
topic.
say JRP-esque. Can't call it a JRPG,
Fine.
though.
RPG elements.
Yes. Better.
JRPG.
All right.
I broke him.
Call it what you want.
You're wrong, James.
It doesn't-
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
So, number 3 was a mutual agreement for us. This is Brandon's pick, so I'm not going to introduce anything with it, but I'm going to say this. This franchise, because it could still be ongoing, we don't know what they want to do, is literally the way Sony and PlayStation entities tell stories for this specific style of narrative. And the fact that it itself warped the format to kind of follow its success, kind of the same way where open world games have warped to where a lot of, Edge of Eternity is an open world JRPG.
Right.
To have this in a narrative speaks volumes, and it's been around since 2013. Brandon, what am I talking about?
Well, James, this next on the list, I feel, was a cornerstone for sure when it came to gaming and storytelling as a whole. I'm talking about none other than The Last of Us, Parts 1 and 2. Thank you very much. All right, Part 2 was amazing. I don't understand why all y'all are so butthurt. It's okay. It's fine. I get it. Joel was... Never mind. Whew, I'm getting too deep.
Woo.
Getting too deep already.
But I think
let's rewind.
I think that's a good part of a story, though.
Yeah.
When it comes, so movies make you feel a certain way.
Oh,
Everybody felt a certain way with the Star Wars series, both new and old. Everybody felt a certain way with the Lord of the Rings series, right?
Yep.
Video games, a lot of people will play it just to play it. It's like, oh, you recommended me to play this? Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, I beat it. Neat. Whatever. Like when I brought you Gravity Rush 2.
Yeah.
Like you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You were vested with some of it.
Mm-hmm.
But a game like The Last of Us and a good narrative for any series that has a good narrative, you feel something at the end. You feel something at the beginning. You feel something through the whole game, and it sticks with you. That is the power of a good narrative. And honestly, that's what's lacking in a lot of fucking games today.
Yeah. I mean, something that I will say is that all my reasons why the video game narrative works is in this game in itself.
Preach it to 'em.
The writing is just super on point with both parts. You have the two different dichotomies of characters. You have Joel, who was a tragic character who went through all this tragedy in his life whenever the pandemic started and everything else, and he lost everything. A man without hope, a man without any sort of sign of redemption. He's done super shitty things in his life. Then you have his dichotomy. You have his opposite, Ellie, the young woman who still has hope, hope for the world, hope for a possible future for herself.
And they, correct me if I'm wrong, they established within the prologue and an opening of Act 1 that hope is pretty much impossible in this world.
Oh my god, yeah. When you play the opening, it is probably, to me, one of the best openings in a video game like I've ever played in my life. And to me, nothing has made such an emotional impact in a video game than that opening. Nothing else is compared. Every time I replay it or every time I watch somebody replay it, like recently, I actually had my dad play The Last of Us. My younger brother, and I were all sitting together in the living room. This was whenever I was at home visiting for like the summer or whatever. And my dad has always been interested in The Last of Us. Like, he's watched us boys play Uncharted for like the longest time. And we were always super interested in The Last of Us. But I grew up in a kind of, protective, you're not allowed to play end games until you're 17, 18.
No Mortal Kombat for you. That game is violent.
Exactly.
You can play My Little Pony.
Yeah. So yeah, Last of Us was actually my first M-rated game. And my dad has always been interested in it because, again, it was like a movie to him. Like, he could like watch us play it at any time, and he knew like where we were at in the story, and like he was invested in it. But watching him play that opening with us watching him, that was an experience I probably won't ever forget because I have a younger sister as well. And I could tell that in that moment, and y'all know the moment if you played it that I'm talking about.
Oh, this one gets no spoilers, I see.
Yeah. Listen,
you're protecting this one at all costs?
I will dip my toe. But
I'm going to just put my little pinky toe in the water. Yeah. I'm not going to give you anything.
Spoiler territory.
If you wanted spoilers, joke's on you. You can edge all you want.
Exactly. What can I say? Edge master. But once you seeing him play and like watch that scene and like the look in his eyes, I knew that, this game really was like a cornerstone to storytelling. I knew in that moment, I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is like, I knew it was going to go down in history in a sense, but like, this has definitely like made its mark on video game history, I would say.
It's when you have a moment like that, it's a lot to take in because gaming is generally, hey, I play games, my family may not like it, or my brother does it, I don't like it, my parents hate it, I like it. There's never really harmony when it comes to anything other than a party game, because cool, I can play it and put it down. And the fact that a game that is, you take everything away from all of the gameplay out of The Last of Us, you still have a movie. Mm-hmm. You still have a TV series. You could plug that story into any other medium. And you heard me mention it before we started talking. It is literally the game that has defined what Sony does with a lot of their stories. You look at Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Yeah. You can draw parallels from Ellie Over. Like, you tell your stories in that way. You make them powerful in that way. And we're talking a franchise that's only 9 years old. It's not as if it's, I've been around the block for 30 years. You're going to listen to me.
Yeah.
It's not the old man of video games.
No, it's like, I would say it's the young person trying to, make their mark, make their message. And I'd say it did, because I know for me, like as an actor, I didn't realize you could tell these kind of stories through video games until I played that game. And I was like, holy shit, this really has changed the bar for entertainment, for writing, for acting. Because my God, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson's performances, almost all the voice actors in The Last of Us are just on point. On fucking point. And like, when it comes to motion capture acting and everything else, like, it's a different kind of acting. Like, I hate it whenever people are like, oh, voice acting isn't acting. You're wrong. I would say it's harder in a sense.
So I recently saw Sonic 2. I saw that with John. And
I love how we went from The Last of Us to Sonic 2.
Hey, yes, I know. Where are you going? Like his radar of protection for The Last of Us is on. He is ready to dive in. But you mentioned voice acting.
Right.
Idris Elba is the voice of Knuckles.
Right.
And in that movie, you literally get really cool intro into a part of the movie where he's like, dot, 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 dot.
Yeah.
And to go from intense opening to pseudo dumb, like they portrayed Knuckles in so many fucking things, which irritates the shit out of me. And Idris Elba owns it. It's kind of similar. Remember the new Suicide Squad? Sylvester Stallone was King Shark.
Yeah. And yes, that is your hand. Bird.
And if you think about it, Stallone had to say what? Like barely 6 sentences worth of stuff. Because a lot of it was like one word here, one word there, right?
Yep.
Voice acting is a damn medium. And The Last of Us, so voice acting has been around since the PlayStation era. Like there were multiple games on the PS1 that had voice acting. And you've seen it progress through from Kingdom Hearts to the Final Fantasies, everywhere and in between. And you had to take it to another level because that motion capture technology, along with voice acting, that's two simultaneous things going on. It's not, I'm sitting here talking in my podcast to you. I don't have to worry about dodging, ducking, dipping, diving. Dodgeball. Great movie. Go see it. I don't have to worry about that. I'm just talking to you. But now all of a sudden, I'm doing the motion of my character as well on top of voice acting simultaneously. Mwah.
I would say, in acting, physicality is very important when it comes to acting. And being able to, when you take away that physicality and being able to use your body, right? In a sense, if you don't know the essence of a character and you don't know the writing and you don't know how to portray a character with just your voice, not using your eyes, not using your body, nothing, then I would say you're probably a damn good actor, for goddamn sure. But again, when you have the motion capture in play with the voice acting, it's a whole different ball game. Just because you're bringing you're allowing the actor to really embody their character with their physicality and the voice.
They cradle to graved that series in a way that is rarely done because it's generally a computer animated, voice acting secondary, etc. So this one, I'm not even going to say it. This is getting the Brandon seal of approval of...
Oh my God, play it. For the love of God, please. And part 2. I want to deep dive into part 2 a little bit as well.
Well, I got to reel you in a little bit.
All right.
So you have to play both. If you are going to play it, you're playing both. Don't just do one over the other.
Yeah.
Play them both. I have experienced a little bit of The Last of Us. I played it when I was learning what I do for my job. There's a little facility you can go down from where we train where people from everywhere will get together, and they had consoles set up. And that was my first experience with The Last of Us, and it was enjoyable. That was my oh cool, I'm going to enjoy this. Play this. It is the pinnacle of that style of grit, grime, realism, storytelling. And Sony has been plug and playing it or forcing companies to plug and play it because it is a certified success. And they've been doing it since 2013.
Yeah, I would say the more cinematic storytelling, they really, in a sense, Naughty Dog has understood that with the cinematic storytelling and everything, you're going to be able to reach a broader audience. Because again, you're bringing in those elements of movies and film and everything else, thus, bringing in more people to play the game. Like Ghost of Tsushima, for example. That was an excellent game through and through.
You've arrived when a Japanese developer literally says, we should have made this game.
Yeah.
And they said that for Ghost of Tsushima. But we've hit you with 3 pretty hard ones. So we're gonna give you a little break, some pretty cool music, brand new to the podcast. Hey. you come here for all your music recommendations as well. Man, I'm branching out.
Oh, for sure.
Praise us, give us all your glory. So we'll be right back with the top 2. It's the home stretch. Holy balls. So I say holy balls because narrative games and games driven by true narrative gameplay, they're out there and they are becoming more and more prevalent. But for the longest time, it was your platformer, your fighter.
Yeah.
Even within the realm of RPGs, yes, they have story, but it's not something that, I can come back to. It's not something that truly drove the game, because you can look at YouTubers, you can listen to me on other episodes or Brandon, for some things, we'll say, oh, the combat was good, the gameplay was good. You rarely hear the story drives the game. And our number 2 entry is literally the godfather, the grandfather, the big daddy,
the grandpappy, pappy.
He's Uncle Grandpa.
Yeah. Oh God, please. I hate that TV show so much.
That was
so much.
Cartoon Network has fallen. Bring back the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, please and thank you.
Yeah.
So our next game, it's one of, if not the best JRPG for storytelling, and it's Final Fantasy VI. So, as you all know, we got that as Final Fantasy III on the Super Nintendo. Games back then, they didn't really have to be narrative driven. Like JRPGs, you could look at Seventh Saga, you could look at Chrono Trigger had a pretty good narrative. You could look at the Dragon Warrior games, so on and so forth. It was a very straightforward and linear path to your end. Save the princess, fight the dragon, save the kingdom, fight the dragon, save this, fight God.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VI comes around. In the opening act, as you're acquiring one of your characters, the main villain, Kefka, gets pissed off at his army. He's like, you know what? Sure, fine. I've got this. He poisons a river and wipes an entire town out. And one of your characters in the game is you see this heartbreaking moment in the castle where he's seeing everyone dead, his family, his king. And it's like, holy shit. Kefka,
good thing he wasn't thirsty that day.
You're a psychopath, man. And this game, so the Super Nintendo, there wasn't a lot of data that you could put on this to where you could tell something deep. Product of the time, you're working with limited technology.
Yeah.
And they were one of the first, if not the first, to give us, you lose. You literally lose. So you're looking at me kind of shocked, Brandon, what? So in the game, you get to your climax, and the second or third act, right? So it's roughly a 4-act game, give or take. But you hit this climax where Kefka accomplishes his mission, which is to gain access to the realm of the Espers, to affect the statues of the world. There's these 3 statues that have to be positioned a certain way in order for harmony to be in the world. If you mess with them, you literally create cataclysmic events. Okay. Continents sinking into the ocean, a continent floating up into the air. Oh. Kefka succeeds.
Okay.
Literally, the villain succeeds.
Right.
It makes you stop. And it's like, what the hell? Because you get so vested in this story. And on the Super Nintendo, no less, every character of the game with the exception of Gao, because he's the wild boy. Like, he's literally a wild kid.
Yeah.
Like, you encounter him in the wild, recruit him, and he's like a wild animal,
Is he like the
essentially.
wild thornberry? He's like the kid.
Basically, yes. Accurate. That is the best description. Gao, you are now kid from Thornberries.
Yeah.
And every character has a deep background explored. And again, we're talking on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's jaw-droppingly amazing. And then the game advances. Game over. And you have to deal with the repercussions of failing. And you're gathering everybody back up. It's insane. Games don't do that, let alone a Super Nintendo game. Final Fantasy VI. I've heaped praises on 7. I've heaped praises on 10. I love all things Final Fantasy, and Final Fantasy V is my favorite Final Fantasy of all time. But Final Fantasy VI, it sets you up. And all JRPGs, RPGs, or even narrative-driven games, it is the one that started us on that path. Oh my God. This, for you, Brandon, I'm giving you a play it.
Giving me a play it?
You got so vested in The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, and if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon can recommend me not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 10 games.
Oh my.
Any genre whatsoever. And he obviously knows what I like. I mean, if you go to my work desk, there's a giant freaking cloud statue on his motorcycle.
Yep.
You can recommend 10, no matter what, and I will play them to completion. Start to finish, I will pause everything I am playing for this bet.
Wow.
Challenge accepted?
That's a mighty toll. Where can I purchase said Final Fantasy if I wanted to?
So what's really cool is they actually did a pixel remaster. So they did that. They released it for, you can get it on your PC through Steam. So you can play it there. You can actually download it to your phone. You can play it there as well. If you're someone who you kind of want to enjoy like a controller, playing a little bit more, it was re-released back on the PlayStation 1. So if you have a PlayStation 3, I believe it was Final Fantasy. It was either Anthology or Chronicles. But one of them had Final Fantasy VI on there. You can play it that way. Or there's a Game Boy Advance one. So you have a variety of options. Emulation is going to be your easiest and free.
Right.
So play this, my friend.
Is that a play it?
That's you're goddamn fucking right. You better fucking play this, boy.
I won't succumb you to 10. I'll give you like a solid 3.
Okay.
Or maybe 3 to 5.
Fair.
How's that?
We are air handshaking here, ladies and gentlemen. But I could literally just steal the rest of this episode to talk nothing but praises of Final Fantasy VI.
Right.
It is kind of like you with The Last of Us for me. Like, this was, and still is, in my opinion, one of the pinnacles of storytelling for a JRPG and video games alone. And the fact that we got it on the Super Nintendo, man. Like, outside of Chrono Trigger, I can't think of another really narrative, story-driven game on that.
Right.
Like, sure, Super Mario RPG, which was really cool that Nintendo paired with Square to give us that. But even that is a mega distant third. It's like, hey, cool, you finished an entire lap behind third in Mario Kart third.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't experienced 6 or any of these games on this series, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go play them. Thank us later. Like, I accept all your adoration, as does Brandon. So, I don't want to steal the rest of the show. So, we're gonna go into our number 1 entry.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll let you lead this one off, Brandon, because you were just kind of sitting there like, okay, James, like absorbing all the Final Fantasy VI.
Well, it's just I like listening, so if I don't really have that much information on, a game or a subject, I just like to listen. So, I mean, but this one, oh man, this one is near and dear to my heart. And y'all already know it's going to be Kingdom Hearts the series. Yeah, baby, let's go. That's right. You thought I was gonna go with something else. Nope. You brought back the Kingdom Hearts fanboy. You know I'm gonna be talking about the one, the only Kingdom Hearts.
He just X gonna give it to you.
Exactly. Oh.
So we were both talking. So when we initially talked, I was like, yeah, you'll do a couple, I'll do a couple. And then obviously with lists, for some weird reason, it's always a top 5 or a top 10.
Right.
And we had this mutual sense of, we want to give this game. And honestly, like when we were at breakfast, this is the game we spent the most time talking about because the story, it's so fleshed out.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like, I don't care what way you poke it. Like, you can argue Kingdom Hearts 3 one way or the other. This story, like, this is play it for one. Play all of them. Play them in order, please, because you'll thank us later for that. But it is a testament to amazing storytelling and universe building because all of our other games we have mentioned, all of the other ones, are complete in some form or fashion, with the exception of the Last of Us series, which could potentially release a third one. We don't know.
Which again, I mentioned this before, like at breakfast, but even if they were to make a third one, I really hope they just end Joel and Ellie's story because that was just a perfect way to end it. But all right, I need to stop. I'm going back on Kingdom Hearts train.
The Kingdom Hearts franchise has built its universe so well. In my opinion, they could release another 20 games with side games, XYZ, blah, 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 and it's still great. And for a video game, no less, to build this, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, for you, Brandon, like, when you talk about narrative games, like, there's only one that comes to, like, well, obviously for you, there's two that come to mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, two in a different sense. Like, I mean, for me, The Last of Us was like a turning point for me when it came to like the art of like acting and the art of writing and storytelling. But Kingdom Hearts was very much like the first one where I was like, oh wow, I care. Like I care about this world. I care about these characters. I care so much. And I love all these characters so much. So to me, like Kingdom Hearts was like the one where I was like that gently caressed and held my hand. And it's just been leading me on ever since.
It's so many games in the making, from PlayStation 2 to Game Boy Advance to PSP to DS to 3DS.
Yep.
And PS2, PS3 when they did the first remaster of everything, to now PS4, and now going to be PS5.
Holy shit.
And Xbox, because they did release it for
Switch.
Yep.
Switch as well.
Yeah. There's
Melody in memory.
Mm-hmm. There's no other, like, you can argue that, oh yeah, Mario's been on regular Nintendo to whatever.
Yeah.
But when we talk about a game that's hit cross-platform levels, it's in there with Final Fantasy. And that's huge.
Yeah.
Because you still think of Final Fantasy, oh hey, Final Fantasy, you're the big daddy.
Yeah.
Well, Kingdom Hearts is fast moving it over. And the reason why this is number one is they started us on a path. They started us on a journey with Kingdom Hearts 1.
Mm-hmm.
An amazing opening act on that island, seeing everything Sora cares about just kind of go bye-bye.
Yep.
And then you're put over in Traverse Town. And it's built into this epic. It's the equivalent of like George R.R. Martin giving us like a 20-book series.
Yeah.
I can't think of another video game that does that.
Yeah.
And I know you, the fan base, you're going to come back at us with like, well, it's confusing, or, but this was here. Why was this?
Oh, timeline.
I don't know if he was turned on or mocking.
That's the mocking of people who are just so butthurt about all these different timelines and everything. I'm like, just, it's fine. It's okay. If you like it, you like it. It's okay.
It took us on this powerful journey, and you do have those multiple timelines. And if you actually look at it, and we're gonna big brain it, it's not necessarily timelines. It's kind of hopping back and forth through time. So you're not multiversing. You're not super convoluting like Marvel and DC Comics. Because I mean, Earth 636. That's a lot of Earths, man.
Yep.
You're getting this amalgamation that works. It's kind of like when you're baking, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, bake it, hope it comes good. Well, Kingdom Hearts is, I'm going to give you a lot of this, a little of this, a lot of this, with the mainline entries, of course, and it all blends perfectly, and it's been one ongoing meal of a story. And when you have a video game that can go back in time, well, this is the reason this happened.
Yeah.
This is the big reason for our overarching story for Xehanort.
Yep.
This is an even bigger history for Ansem. This is a bigger history for Sora, for Riku.
Yeah.
It's world building done so well that even if you aren't a fan, because Kingdom Hearts 3 is the game that broke some people for the series.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a fan, you're going to come back for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you watch the trailer, the tone shifted.
And I know there's going to be some people who are going to be like, oh, it's deviated so much from, the original, like, it went too much into Disney, or now it's going too much into Final Fantasy. Like, I believe it's going to balance out in the end. Like, it...
If you look at it, it's taking a shift because... all things considered, Quadrata, where Sora is, it's technically the real world, more or less, if you want to look at it as neutrally as possible without a deep dive, right?
Yeah.
It's more modern Tokyo. And obviously in modern Tokyo, he's going to have a shift versus when he was in the world.
Yeah.
So the immediate first thing you will see is they've evolved the story. They've evolved that narrative. Because Clown Feet Sora has kind of gone away. Childlike innocence on his face has kind of gone away.
Yeah.
It's a more serious tone.
I would say it's grown up in a sense. Like Kingdom Hearts has definitely grown up with its fan base. Like, for example, I'm 22 years old. Or excuse me, I'm 21 years old. I'm about to turn 22.
I don't know how old I am. I'm old, guys.
Oops. Old man. Old age is catching up with me.
I'll be sure to get you a cane for your birthday.
Oh, please do. That'd be sick.
Oh, let's get you one of the power walkers so you can just roll into work with the little tennis balls and look at people. What happened to you? You aged me.
You aged me.
Fuck all of you.
I know. I saw white hair the other day on me. That was crazy.
Oh, you have a head full of hair. You're screwed.
Oh, yeah. No, like, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, though. Like, I feel like the salt and pepper look is going to look really good on me.
So you're going to say once you go gray, there ain't no other way? You're going to use that pickup line?
Oh, yeah. For sure. I'm going to be a silver fox in the making.
God damn it. God damn it.
Anywho. Kingdom Hearts growing up with its fan base. I started Kingdom Hearts at age 5 with the first game, even though it came out in 2002. And then I went on from there. As I previously mentioned in the first episode I was in, talking about Kingdom Hearts, it's been with me throughout my entire life. And to see Sora, in a sense, grow up with me has been really impactful in a sense. Like, now that it's in a sense gone into the quote unquote real world and the Lost Master, right? It's going to be interesting. I'm super excited for what Kingdom Hearts has in store.
When you have a game that can give you, now going on 20 years, because the 20th anniversary was the reveal for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yep.
20 years of history, lore, and a lot of people who played it, like Brandon, he's going to be 22 this year. I'm going to be 36 next month. So we're talking, since I was 16, I have played this franchise. That's insane. And the fact that we get progression, we get story advancement, we get to understand the Easter eggs and the other things that are placed in the mainline games, and we actually get to understand the true reason for the mainline games.
Yep.
This is the end-all be-all for narrative games. And honestly, like, it kind of gets us to our point here. Video games, I want you all to play them. Every single one you can, from Mario to Donkey Kong, Smash Brothers, whatever. It's a wonderful medium of entertainment. But when it comes to stories and narrative-driven games, I want you to do more than play it. I want you to get immersed into that universe. I want you to literally, like, these games, exactly. These games thrust you into the universe, and it's almost as if, like, you could look left or right and you feel like you're there. And that is so hard to pull off on any entertainment medium.
Oh, God, for sure. especially when it comes to, like I said before, like video games put you in the driver's seat. Like you are in control. You are the character. You're having that agency to really experience this game and experience the story. No other media does that.
So all 9 billion Kingdom Hearts games get a certified seal of play it.
Play it.
And
Play it.
And if you don't, you're wrong.
Play it. I wouldn't say you're wrong. I would just say I highly disagree with you.
Fine, you're not wrong, but you have disappointed Daddy James and Silver Fox Brandon.
Oh, absolutely.
Man, I think, I don't think we can come anywhere close from here. I think we hit the high of highs.
Yeah. I do, however, want to shout out my honorable mentions. I'm just going to rapid fire these honorable mentions. So here we go. In no particular order. Mass Effect 2, Bioshock series, Detroit Become Human, The Wolf Among Us, The Walking Dead, Life is Strange, God of War 2018, Bloodborne, Shadow of the Colossus, Control, Battlefield 4, Call of Duty Black Ops, Back Off the Line, Silent Hill series, Metal Gear Solid series.
Now, I want you all to take that in because that was rapid fire. He had to narrow it down to 2.
Yeah, it was hard.
I can imagine the long nights.
Yeah.
Or being distracted at work, which can be a good thing.
Yeah.
Our work is so busy right now, we're running around like chickens with our heads cut off. So all distractions are greatly welcome and appreciated.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Every game, even those rapid fire honorable mentions, give them a shot.
Play it. Play it. Play it. Play it. Please.
Play it now! Video games is such a rewarding medium. And I've been gaming ever since I was 4 years old. Ever since my dad put a regular Nintendo controller in my hand. And I can't think of a better medium that has also opened me up to friends, let me experience new things and worlds than video games. And in that, the pinnacle of a good game is a good narrative. I'll admit, I've gotten to the point in my life, I'll play a game for 5-6 hours, and if the narrative hasn't hooked me, gameplay can be amazing, and I'll praise all good gameplay. But if you haven't hooked me in and found a way to get me into your story, because my big Achilles heel now is a lot of JRPGs are kind of cookie cuttering themselves so much that the story is just arbitrarily there, and it's not even a real story. And I stop after 5 or 6 hours. And these games, I never stopped. I could load it up today. I'm not going to stop.
Yep.
So with that, guys, and so as you all know, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Games with John and James. We're also on YouTube and Twitter. Please make sure to give us a follow, subscribe to the YouTube. We want feedback because this episode especially, it's narrative drives us in life from all forms of media, all forms of entertainment, to our own personal lives. Mm-hmm. Like, we write our own narrative. Ooh, let me sound all Aristotle-y right here.
Armchair philosopher.
Exactly. I'm a keyboard warrior.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of that, video games have really evolved storytelling in a sense. I keep repeating it over and over again, but it really has evolved. The way we portray and tell our stories, and it's a beautiful thing.
So make sure you play everything recommended, from the rapid fire honorable mentions to the 5 we definitely talked about. My brief honorable mention as well of both the Golden Sun games. Dive into a good story. Let the narrative take you on a journey. That's the ultimate message we want to give you guys here. That's our big armchair philosophy topic for the day. So you know where to find us. You know how to listen to us. Thank you for listening to episode 23. It is officially in the books with our guest host, Brandon, here. So big shout out, Silver Fox Brandon.
No problem.
Hey, you earned your call sign.
Silver Fox. Oh, yeah.
I'll show you the gray way.
Oh, yeah. I'll show you. This old cat still got some tricks.
Do you know the gray way?
Oh, God, please, no.
So with that, we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Take care.